we study 6 parameters, 6 spiritual qualities in order to cross over suffering and pain to liberation and nirvana. Today, I will focus on 3rd parameter, the perfection of patience, Ksanti paramita. Perfection of patience is an enlightened quality of consistency, tolerance, forbearance, and acceptance. Since we are living in 21st century, it is very hard to be patient. In this contemporary society with a highly stimulated world, most time artificial stimulation is always challenging us. And people send messages and informations throughout the world constantly and instantly. Within a few seconds, we can share with the whole world with Twitter, iPhone, internet, or social media, as well as the main media. So speed of our life is getting so fast. And people are getting so impatient, if anything, a little bit slow. And easily irritated, because we try to do more and more in less and less time. So we need a lot of patience with ourselves and with the life around us in order to live peacefully in this modern society. Sote-san said, today, with the development of a scientific civilization, the human spirit has steadily weakened, while the power of material things has daily grown stronger and conquer that weakened spirit, bring it under its domination. Human, therefore, cannot help but be enslaved by material. How would they avoid the turbulency of suffering in their lives? So, cause of suffering is that our spirituality is getting weaker because of too much to do in our society. So we don't have time to meditate and cultivate our inner center, and outer stimulation is far greater than our inner centeredness. So this is a description of what's going on in our world. And he describes that this material domination over our lives getting very serious, and thus we are impatient and a lot of suffering. Consequently, our founding motive is to lead all sentient beings who are drowning in the sea of suffering to a vast and immeasurable paradise by expanding spiritual power and conquering material power through faith in religion based on truth and training and morality based on fact. So think about your life and think about our whole world. Are we spending really too much time for either using material things or technology? And it is becoming problematic that if we don't counterbalance with this outer stimulation with the advanced technology and more advanced materialism, it is hard to cultivate your inner center, inner peace. And that's beginning of all the problem, as well as becoming impatient. So when we are overstimulated and the human spirit getting weaker, thus impatience is a part of our 21st century, which we need to tackle. We need to find ways to overcome. But good news is that patience is the quality that you can cultivate and you can nurture over time. So patience is strength of mind and heart that enable us to face challenges and difficulties, since we are daily facing these challenges and difficulties without losing our equanimity and inner serenity. So this is the challenge. This is the quality we want to cultivate. So how can we cultivate patience and perfection of patience? First, understand what makes you impatient. Think about any situation, any people, or any circumstance make you impatient. If you are impatient, you are stressed up and easily mess up your life. You see how many people mess up their life with this kind of impatience. If you mess up, you are the one, you have to clean it. No one else. If you find ways to escape from challenges and difficulties, if you develop any addiction, could be alcoholism. If you mess up with alcoholism, because in the beginning it may be escape, but it's very hard to clean up, letting go of that addiction. So impatience creates suffering. And ill temper creates a lot of problem in your life too. So we tend to be impatient when we have multitasking or with a tight schedule or some chaos in your mind. So pinpoint the trigger that often influence you to lose your patience. If someone in your lives, it could be your children, could be your parents, could be your spouse, or any family members make you feel anxious, or worried, even sometimes hopeless, because they are stubborn and not changing their attitudes and their lifestyles. It makes you impatient. If you have an unhappy or depressed person in your family or in your circle, or impatient boss in your workplace or your co-workers, it triggers your impatience. So if you are reasonable enough to detect what makes you impatient, be aware of it is the first step to tackle this ill temper or impatience. So you can write it down, and you can keep the journal. Anything in your life, any event, anything make you impatient. So when you are aware of your impatience, it gives you a chance to learn from it. Either your attitude or your impatience underlying this constant challenging situation. So it is a time for you to learn how to constructively and healthy way to deal with any situation, any challenging situations. So you may have a power to change it. In fact, you have the power to change it, no one else. How often you attempt to change your child? How often you attempt to your parent? Or how often you attempt to change your spouse? It's very difficult, right? But transforming yourself, changing your attitude, changing your behavior, changing yourself is a much more healthy and constructive way to deal with any problems. So when you keep the journal and write it down, what makes you impatient, that is a way to begin to know the pattern in your life. The pattern appears out of your understanding of impatient situations. So you can be aware of it and well prepared for any situation that trigger impatience. So just to be aware of it is the first step. And second, after you are aware of it, overcome your shortcomings and overcome your impatience. If you want to run away from your shadow, your impatience, or any trigger, if you're aware of it, try to run away is not the way. If you run away from your shadow, and you can run faster and faster, but your shadow following you all the time. So it's not a way to get away from your shadow, but see it and transform it and overcome it. To make a patient to be perfect, we need to develop ability to be loving and compassionate in the face of a misunderstanding or aggression or criticism. When you have a misunderstanding, when people, especially your close cycle, if they misunderstand you, or if they are aggressive, if they are criticizing you, it is very difficult to be patient. But in order to practice this perfection of patience, we gotta do it, because if you're impatient, it makes it worse. It doesn't help you or help a situation at all. It's tough, but we can cultivate this quality. To achieve perfection of patience, we need to cultivate inner strength, inner centeredness, and stay calm and compassionate in the face of these difficult challenges. Meditation is the best way to overcome your shortcomings, especially impatience. One of the merit, if you look at our scripture, one of the merit of meditation is that it helps you to increase your patience and your endurance. So developing patience requires not only consistent meditation, but a way to change your attitude about your life and about the life in general. You can take a moment when you have a stress up, when you have impatience, take a time and sit back and breathe deeply. Take a deep breath. Helps you bring universal energy, nurturing you. And do nothing. Do not think about anything, do nothing. Or maybe you can silently chant. So this is a very helpful moment and helpful way to deal with your impatience. If you cannot do anything to resolve the situation, then you simply let it go. Sometimes make you feel impatient when you try to do something, but it's out of your control. So let go of anything about impatient trigger if you cannot do anything. So if there isn't impatient or challenging situation, is enough thing you can do. The best thing is that be patient and let go. That is a healthy way to deal with some challenges in our lives. If you make a concerted effort, though, to be more patient, you will gradually develop spiritual strength to remain calm and be patient in the most trying situations. So through your constant meditation and overcoming your shortcomings and nurturing your patience and overcoming impatience is a way to deal with our struggle. So in order to achieve the perfection of a patient, not just to be patient, but perfection of patience, we need to embrace and endure insult, adversity, or stress and the wrongs of others. That's why it requires perfection of patience. Even we are receiving or in this situation many times, many incidents, we are in this situation throughout our lives. If you didn't experience it at all, sometime in the future you will get into this kind of situation. But with the patience and tolerance and free of resentment and irritation, without emotional reactivity and retaliation, finds a way to stay calm, be centered, and be patient. Buddha said holding on to anger is like grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else, but you are the one who gets burned. So if you have irritation, impatience, or anger or hatred, the first one who are suffering and hurt is you. So this is another quality you won't have. With this enlightened quality of patience, we are neither overjoyed by praise or things goes well or prosperity, and stay always centered and balanced, nor are we angry or unhappy or depressed when we face all these challenging insults and hardships and difficulties. This enlightened quality of patience and acceptance is not a force just expressing it, but knowing that this quality comes from our open heart, comes from your deeper understanding of Dharma. So third, in order to be patient, in order to cultivate this perfection of patience in our lives, we have to see the large picture and whole picture and big picture. Buddha said, he who experiences the unity of a life sees his own self in all things and all beings in his own self, and looks on everything with an impartial eyes. So this is the one we need to cultivate. In one Buddhism, in one Buddhist tradition, when you see the big picture, when you see the irrational truth and become awakened or be a spiritual being, you begin to understand common source. You begin to understand that oneness of humanity. This awakening comes when you deeply cultivate it, that all things in the universe are your own home or your own family. When you think about and see the progression of a human spirit, spiritual development, the concept of oneness change according to your level of understanding of Dharma or your level of cultivation. When you see a child or when you are young, We see everything from our self-centered perspective. So I, my, me is very important. But when you grow up a little bit, you begin to see that oneness of family, my mother and my father and brother or sisters are important in this picture of oneness. So they think our family is them. When they grow up a little more, they begin to recognize their relatives are their family. And grandmas and grandpas, as well as aunts and uncles. So extended family, they consider as one. As a spiritual people, we consider that whoever comes to our temple, we feel we are community, we are part of this oneness. So we really care about each other's well-being and each other's cultivation and developing these qualities to reduce and eliminate suffering in their life. When we grow up a little bit, or whole village become part of you, become really oneness of this self. In our village, when I was growing up, I thought really we are one. Everybody, we call it each other either grandma or grandpa if they are old, or if they are a little older than us, and brothers and sisters and younger brothers and younger sisters, and everybody was aunt and uncle. So it's a common source of our all related one another. So their well-being is critical. If there is something the problematic in the village, whole village got involved and tried to solve them. So if we grow bigger and extend this concept of oneness, concept of me getting bigger, so we may think that everyone in one Buddhist faith, we consider that we are all spiritual families. So we care for each other. Not only Manhattan Temple members, but everyone in one Buddhist path. When we grow, our city becomes very important. Our city becomes your family. Do you have that kind of open heart and recognize that interdependency? And through deep cultivation, when they spiritually evolve and spiritual understanding getting bigger, whole world become their extended family. Not only whole world, but all forms of life become their own family. So when you have this kind of understanding, then you will be patient. Because if your child crying or your grandchild crying or demanding or whatever they do, we are patient enough to nourish that kind of environment. So by understanding this oneness, we build global solidarity. If there is suffering in our world, we send our prayers and find a way to assist the suffering people in our world. So we are shifting really the paradigm here. We are shifting our consciousness and we are shifting our behavior and our thinking pattern. So in this way, we can make always an effort to see goodness in others and beauty in others. So Taesan said, once enlightened to the truth of Ilwansang, the symbol here, once you're enlightened to the truth of Ilwansang, you will know the whole world are your own property. That all things in the universe are non-dual despite their different names. But this is the nature of all Buddhas, enlightened masters, ordinary humans, and sentient beings. So the oneness again. If you have a big picture of this one, you will have more patience. When you see the big picture, you can learn from universe. If you look at the nature, like it's now ending of winter and the beginning of spring, even though you want to have beautiful flowers soon, you have to wait until proper time and proper season. When you look at the nature, you can see how patient it is. If you grow vegetables or grow apple tree, you cannot have an apple tomorrow, no matter how much you want it. Apple tree must blossom the flower first, and then grow and bear a little apple, and it must be grow and grow until it becomes ripe and ready to eat. So almost everything in human life, like this nature, good things takes the time. Good things happening in your life, see and think about it. Any happiest moment in your life also comes with this kind of taking time and be patient. So move the world towards peace by being kind and generous and taking time to see what is happening and be grateful for what you have, and taking full responsibility over what is important in your life and important to you. When you have a less patience, then remember big picture. Remember this large whole. Always remember Irwansa here. When you look at your life, if you are persistent and be patient, you will get eventually what you want. It requires maturity and patience to understand and accept this principle. If you work hard at something, and most time you have to be patient to get it. If you're impatient, you will give up on important things in your life. If you are impatient, think about in your lifetime. When you are impatient, it wasn't the time to be proud of. Nobody likes you if you are impatient. Even you yourself do not like impatient you. So this is something we need to transform and find a way to replace with the patience. And fourth, the most important patience here is that be patient with your meditation. Be patient with your understanding of Buddhist truth. Be patient with your comprehending that you have a Buddha nature, or everyone has Buddha nature. This is the most profound and sacred patience. Be patient with your cultivation of your spiritual growth. So the most important patience is that, but the practice of the perfection of patience is to be patient with the all difficult sometimes Buddhist teachings or concepts, especially in the West. We will not grow up with this kind of concepts that you are responsible yourself, or you have a Buddha nature and you have a potential to be enlightened, to become Buddha. And anyone here, you truly believe that you have Buddha nature and truly believe that one day I will become enlightened and awakened. So you have to be patient. If you don't get it today, at least we need to be patient with our own progress. We need to be patient with your understanding of Iransang vow and Heart Sutra or Diamond Sutra. When we have this kind of perfection of patience, especially understanding Dharma or karma or cause and effect or your own Buddha nature, we will have a clear understanding of emptiness and impermanence. And if we have this patience, we will have a stronger determination and patience with harmony, with this understanding of your slow progress. In the beginning, you will see very slow in your cultivation, in your meditation, in your understanding of Buddhist truth and Dharma. In order to make a difference, the only thing, as we see sunrise every morning, as we have to eat food for our physical wellness, we have to practice daily, and sitting and meditating daily. Without providing enough food for your spiritual well-being, impatience or some negative quality you don't want could be stay with you. So to become truly patient in our practice, we need consistent daily practice, consistent understanding of Dharma and attending every Sunday service and attend retreat and constantly and persistently study and improve and practice it. Only then can you experience true inner transformation. Buddha was a model for the patient. Not only practicing his lifetime, 6 years non-stop, but consistently practice throughout 500 lifetimes. It's a long process to be awakened, long process to really understand who you are. But if you give up now, you are losing chance to really liberate it and awaken and reduce suffering and dissatisfaction in your life totally. So elevating yourself toward enlightenment needs a lot of patience. Sitting an hour needs a lot of patience. Thoughts coming in and out, and try to calm it down by letting go needs patience. Patience helps us to overcome anger or hatred that leads to the wish for retaliation and revenge. The only way to stop revenge or retaliation is that with patience, you stop first. Anything you receive, you feel like unreasonable, but you are the one stop the chain of cause and effect and chain of karma. So if you achieve the perfection of a patient, we can accomplish anything you want, anything we set it out. If we are patient enough, if we have this kind of attitude, whatever you wanted, you will be persistent, you will have a big picture, and you know what is the helping you. That's why you can keep practicing this Buddhist path of patience in such a way that even though somebody hurts you physically, mentally, emotionally, you are not irritated. Think about it. If you are in that state, if you have this capacity, it will be beautiful. It will be very spiritual that you are not retaliating others or not impatient. So take this opportunity to know that this quality is a part of your Buddha nature. This is the awakened quality. That's why it's a perfection of a patient. That any challenging situation, you take a time and meditate and be centered. In spite of that stressful accusation sometimes, unreasonable criticism. This is the one, the patient, the perfection of patient in this 21st century most needed in our human life, dealing with climate change, dealing with poverty, all inequality issues and so forth, to cross over the suffering into liberation. So in the coming weeks, find out what makes you impatient and detect the pattern of it, and then try to overcome your shortcomings and impatience and see the large picture and the whole picture, not only on your life and the whole world, and then be really patient with your Dharma progress, your meditation, your understanding of all important concepts of Buddhism. That will help you transform to become the person whom you want to be.